These are the people that the Republican Party are counting on to return them to power. And part of the way that they expect to be returned to power is by terrorizing you. I don't know how to... I don't tell anybody what to do on this program. But I will suggest this. You go and vote. You go and vote on Tuesday. You spine up and go out and vote. And if one of these Republican poll-watching thugs approaches you, understand they are only to observe. They are not to be speaking to you. If they come up to you and say a word to them, don't say a word back. Go and find a member of law enforcement. Call your Secretary of State's office or your Board of Elections and say, there are people outside this polling place trying to intimidate voters. If a Republican says, may I see your license? If a poll observer, anybody says, I want to see your identification, you look at them and say, I'll be right back, and you take your cell phone and you beep, 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 beep. Because they have no right to do it. They are trying to keep you out of the polls because that is how Republicans win elections, by keeping people from voting. Take this to heart. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's so important but just look. Look at who wants the Republicans to win. Thugs like Mr. Prophet, the Kentucky head stomper, wants the Republicans to win. Thugs like the campaign officers, campaign officials for Eric Cantor, who had a man his face driven into the concrete, want Republicans to win. People like Charles Allen Wilson want Republicans to win. Charles Allen Wilson was arrested for threatening Senator Patty Murray because she voted to pass the otherwise weak, anemic, and largely ineffectual health care reform bill. Remember how they used to talk about weaponized anthrax? Because anthrax, qua anthrax, it isn't much of a weapon. It has to be weaponized. Well, Charles Allen Wilson was weaponized by Glenn Beck, just as the guy who went to shoot up the Tides Foundation was weaponized by Glenn Beck. In a way, you could say that Radio Rwanda really is Radio Rwanda, because Radio Rwanda, during the genocide in Rwanda, weaponized an entire segment of its population. And Glenn Beck's goal is to weaponize an entire segment of this population. A, to scare you away from the polls. B, to make you understand that if they don't get their way, they're like children in a way. They will throw a fit. But Glenn Beck wants you to understand that if they don't get their way, they're not going to throw a fit. They're going to start shooting. Because they have no interest in representative democracy. They have no interest in the maintenance of this 230-some-odd-year-old experiment. They want the power, and by God, they want it now. And they will kill to get it. They will kill to get it. They will stomp heads. They will shoot. Another guy was taken down for stalking a Patty Murray event with a meat cleaver in Washington State. And the question is, will we let... It is entirely up to us whether we are willing to let them intimidate us. Sometimes you just got to haul it up and gut up and spine up, and we're just talking about voting. You must go and vote. Do you know someone who has said, I ain't a-gonna? Some liberal? I don't know. I just did it. Obama let me down. Go vote. I know it's a terrible thing. I wish the system was different. I wish we all had good liberals that we could vote for, but we don't. And yeah, there really is a meaningful difference. If you think that this Congress has been weak-kneed, spineless, and ineffectual, you need not worry about that being the case with a Republican Congress. They will be neither weak-kneed, spineless, nor ineffectual. And everything they do will be geared at doing you in. And now, thanks to the Savages and the Becks and the Hannitys and the Limbaughs, they have an entire army of some 20% of the voting population that is largely willing to do violence on their behalf and at their say-so. The only hope you have in averting that is to go and vote. Dig it. If the House of Representatives goes Republican, then that Ayotte fellow, Rich Ayotte, can you imagine that a component of this Congress upcoming may be comprised of a guy who says that the SS and the Gestapo were good people who were only doing their jobs? No, really. And guess what? The man who would be Speaker, Pumpkinhead John Boner, is campaigning for Rich Ayotte this weekend. He is campaigning for a Nazi sympathizer. Now, see, that doesn't violate Godwin's law for me to mention that. Because he really is. The guy who wants to be... say it with me. The guy who wants to be Speaker of the House of Representatives is campaigning for a Nazi sympathizer. The guy who wants to be Speaker of the House of Representatives is campaigning for a Nazi sympathizer. Let's see, that's twice, and it still sounds insane inside my head. The guy who wants to be Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States is campaigning this weekend for a Nazi sympathizer. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, if there was anything to all the magic and hullabaloo out there, I would not want to be standing in the cemetery at Normandy right now. Because the earth would be moving from all those bodies turning over in their graves. The man who wants to be the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives this weekend is campaigning for a Nazi sympathizer. Is that worth what little time it would take for you to go out and vote? And to encourage someone else to as well? You know, one of those liberals looks, yeah, you know, they haven't done anything for 2 years, and I think they just deserve the ass kicking they're going to get. You look at him and you say, hey, the guy who wants to be Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives is campaigning this weekend for a Nazi sympathizer. I mean, people, this is really house on fire stuff. Halloween is a little too real for me this year. No, it's a lot too real.